An off-road biker who killed a peacemaker who had asked him to stop nuisance riding has been jailed for 9 years. James Rowley had been noisily showing off on grassland despite having no license or insurance when he punched 41-year-old Joe Higgins in front of children in Radford, Coventry. Mr. Higgins was celebrating St. Patrick's Day with family and was concerned that Rowley's behaviour was dangerous to children playing nearby, Coventry Live reports. Warwick Crown Court heard Rowley, a dad of 2, fled the scene after the attack on March the 17th. He was arrested 2 days later. Mr. Higgins, who lived in Bedford but was originally from Coventry, died in hospital a day after suffering a head injury. Former warehouse worker Rowley, from Radford, initially claimed to have acted in self-defense, but pleaded guilty at a previous hearing to manslaughter. The 21-year-old, who also admitted dangerous driving, had previously been given a referral order as a teenager for an assault in which his victim lost consciousness. He was sentenced on Monday at Warwick Crown Court by Judge Sylvia de Bertadano, who said he had given police a false account of what happened in the Jubilee Crescent area as Mr. Higgins returned home from celebrating St. Patrick's Day with his cousin. Judge de Bertadano told Rowley, "You were riding your motorbike in a way that was clearly dangerous and aggressive. You shouldn't in fact have been driving it at all as you had no license and no insurance. Having ridden it on the wrong side of the road and through a red light, you arrived at Jubilee Crescent. You started riding the bike on the grassed area there. The bike had no lights and the danger you were causing was obvious, so obvious that a bystander called the police. It was this behavior that caused Joe Higgins to come over and speak to you." Addressing the attack itself, the judge added, "He tried to speak to you politely and tell you to stop." In the words of his brother, he was being a good citizen. You, however, refused to listen. You revved the engine and asked him if he wanted to get battered. You then got off the bike with the clear intention of inflicting violence on Joe Higgins. You were described by one witness as bouncing on your toes like a boxer. Joe Higgins had his hands down. One witness described it as the most vicious punch he had ever seen. The punch caused him to fall to the ground and hit his head, whereupon you rode off dangerously and at speed, taking, as you went, his hat. Rowley was also ordered to serve a 2-year driving ban after his release from prison. Prior to sentence, defense QC Kevin Higati, offering mitigation, said Mr. Higgins had become concussed because he had hit his head on the ground. Victim impact statements were also read to the court, including from the victim's partner and his twin brother Chris Higgins. In his statement, Mr. Higgins described his brother, a stepfather to 3 children, as a true gentleman who was kind, caring and fun. At 41 he had his whole life ahead of him, Mr. Higgins said of his sibling. The happy future that Joe had planned has been cruelly taken away from him. Detective Inspector Jim Colglow called Mr. Higgins' death tragic and senseless. He added, "Joe grew up in the area and didn't like people disrespecting his community." Witnesses describe him approaching Rowley politely. He wanted to convey his concerns for the danger he posed to people. Some witnesses described seeing Rowley laughing and dancing in the victim's hat after the fatal punch. Rowley's violence was witnessed by several children in the street. My sympathies remain with Mr. Higgins' friends and family. Close quote.